Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we have Suvam. So today we are going to talk about how to become a product designer, right? So he has been a product designer at Kotak Cherry, and before that he was working with several early stage startups. So today he'll share about his experience, and we'll know okay how to become a product designer, what are the free resources, how does the interview process look, and much more. Hey, hi. Thanks a lot for coming to the podcast. Uh,
Hi,
yeah.
hi, Manoj. Thank you for inviting here in the podcast, and I hope like after watching this video, the viewers find it very insightful, and they will understand how exactly the product design works and how to become a successful product designer. So yes, again, let me introduce myself again. My name is Suvam Prasad. I am working at Kotak Cherry as a product designer. Before joining Kotak Cherry, I worked at Kotak Mahindra Bank firstly, like as an intern, and for over 1 year, and then converted as a UX UI designer at Kotak Bank. And before joining Kotak Group, I've also like complete my internship at few very startup companies, early stage startup companies. So in that early stages companies, as you know, that they are not they are not having any the proper design group, design team. So I'm the only one designers working on all the products across the product, and participating in different meetings and discussion round and everything. Okay, so that's my work experience. And if you're talking about my education background, so I don't have a prior design like degree, but yes, I've completed my BCA degree from Lalit Chandra Barali College. It's a like nearby college. And whatever I learned about product design, UX UI design, or design thinking process, I learned from like online courses, free, paid, and also like reading some books and watching videos, tutorial videos on YouTube channels. So yes, that's my whole like education background. And yeah, like I've also participated in some of the UI design challenges, of course, that helped me a lot to design static design, UI design, and so creating usability, like usable designs, of course, that gives value to the users. And this challenges or UI competition or UX competition really helped me a lot to improve my overall design or product design skills. Okay. And of course, if you guys are anime fan, I'm also anime fan. So I watch Naruto and then Bleach and a lot of anime fans. And recently there is like One Piece anime. It's like very hype is going on. Many people are like recommending me to watch One Piece. So obviously I'm giving it a try to that anime as well. Uh, so that's it. I'm living in Assam with my family, with my parents. So that's my whole small introduction.
Cool. Quick fun fact: my brother is also an anime fan, so yeah, he used to tell about that. And also,
Yeah.
one more thing I want to tell you all that he's a very great UI designer. Like I've seen some of his dribble shots, Instagram design, and it's like very awesome. I will attach all the links, like you guys can go through that. Yeah. So what I've done is I've curated a list of common questions. So I will ask it to
Yeah.
you like one by one. Okay.
Hmm,
And the
sure.
first question is like, how did you discover product design, right? And many people are from non-design background and want to become a product designer. So how did you discover about product design?
So if you're asking me that this discover before like becoming a product designer, again there is a you can call me as a product designer, but also some of the UX UI designer referred as a product designer as well. So while I'm doing like my BCA courses, like it's a solely on a technology course, like computer science courses. So in that, while doing my programming, learning programmings like HTML, CSS, like mostly in the front end part, so I came across with this Adobe XD tool. Discovered that tool. I really wanted to try because I'm more interested towards the UI thing, like UI part, the front end part of it. So I give it a try, and since I like in my childhood I'm very good at colors and artistic thing, so I give it a try to that specific tool. And then slowly I get to understand there is a profession called UX UI design. There is something that like in my like while I'll do BCA, this none of the teachers are like aware of it, UX UI design. So of course they are telling about how to develop a software, but like as a user, first you see the front end part of it. If the front end part is pretty good, you will give it a try. If the front end part is aesthetically good, then you will give it a try, and if you use that product, specific products. So yes, after discovering that Adobe XD tool, I gave it a try, and I took some courses on that specific tool, how to run that tool, how to use that tool to create a UI design. And eventually I got to know that there is a design thinking process overall. So you cannot just directly come up with the tool and start designing any user interface. So of course you need a process to follow, come up with a problem statement. Yes, I have problem statement, because every time when there is a software is going on, like if a teacher asking me to develop some specific software application, so I always say why I want to create this application, what's the reason behind to creating that software things, right? So when you have a curiosity of asking why, and you have a couple of questions about to come up with the solution, right? Okay, you have a problem, but tell me about the reason why I'm going to create this one. So this thought process or rational thinking helped me a lot to give more focus to this whole profession, and I'm aligned to more interest to this profession. So I've given it a try, and after completing that's my first course, first UI design scale courses, and then I got a first internship at very early startup companies. And from there my journey started. I start keep improving myself, and then eventually I'm working at Kotak Cherry as a product designer. So I started as a UI designer, and then UX UI, and then directly product design. So in that specific journey I learned a lot beside from designing, and then I directly end as a product designer at Kotak Cherry.
Got it. And the next question is, what is a difference between UI design, UX design, and graphic design? I hear this term. It's
Hmm.
common in the design thing, right? I think when you were
Hmm.
exploring, I think you had a great journey, right? You would have
Hmm.
explored these things too. So, what according to you is the difference between them?
So again, this terms being used, I've seen lot of people in their work experience. They are telling that they are UI designer, they are UX designer, UI UX designer, product designer, graphic designers. Terms are different, of course. All of them are designers. Okay, so they are working on a specific role. If you are asking me graphic designers, so they are more focused to the banner design, more focused to the logo design. They are more focused to illustration design, some sort of, right? So they are creating some graphic elements for the brand of a company, right? If you're asking me UX designers, so they are more focused towards the research part. They will do research, they will do diary research, they will do interviews, they will create empathy mapping, they will come up with the problem statement, right? And they will do wireframing, prototyping, they will do some sort of things, right? As a UX designer, when it comes to the UI designer, then of course you are more focused towards the design system, right? Design system, creating UI elements for your UI design, mockups, right? More towards the visual parts of it. Now here comes UI and UX design. Those designers who are very good at both the part, right? UX part, they are capable enough to do the interviews and everything. They are also good at research and everything, but and also they have enough skills to create a visual pleasing designs, like user interface, working on designs and everything. Now here comes as a product designer. Now product design, what happened, all the things, right? UX UI designer, whatever the UX UI designers are doing, all of the skills comes, all of the skills comes in the product design. But there is one more additional skills adds into it, that is leadership quality, right? And also the business aspect of the design, right? In the UX UI design, you're more focused to the user centric model, right? You are talking about the how we can you can give a value to the user, and what are the things useful for the user. But where it comes to product design, you are also considering the business aspect of it, right? Okay, this gives a value to the user, but also how it benefits to the organization. Also things matters. Sometimes you also come with the features idea. It's not that the other management teams will have to suggest you what sort of features, but as a product designer you also give your idea, your suggestion. Okay, this feature might be useful both for the user and both for the business, right? Even as a product designer, you have to be very good at some technical skills, because again you have to deal with the developers. So and certain time you have to ask the developers what sort of technology they are using for UI design and UX design, what are the key constraints they are facing. So of course these additional skills has to add up in this UX UI design profession, and you becomes a full-fledged product designer. So of course there is a huge difference, but of course there is sometimes I've also seen that UI designers also doing research. Okay, so okay, being, you can mention it in your profile that you are a UX UI designer, but eventually when you enter in the organization, you have to deal with this sort of being a UI designer. You also think about the UX part of it, right? Without understanding the problem statement, you cannot directly jump into UI design and create something else, right? So collaborative things should be there. If you are a UI designer, of course you have to collaborate with your UX designer and work together, right? If a UI UX designer, so of course you have to handle both the part. Product designer means you have to discuss, you have to collaborate with other UI designer, UX designer to create a very good design, usable design, right? So that's the whole difference between these roles.
Got it. And the next question I have is okay. uh, you had mentioned about research,
Hmm.
etc. So just to summarize, UI is more of the visual aspect of visual design,
Hmm.
colors, typography. UX is
Hmm.
more of
Yep.
research, understanding the
Yep.
user. Graphic is
Hmm.
more of branding, marketing, materials,
Branding your
etc. Right?
elements. Yep. 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 Yep.
So on this, there's one more common terms that I see is like low fidelity design, mid fidelity design, or high fidelity design. So if you can
Hmm.
explain the difference between these. So people call it low-fi wireframes, hi-fi wireframes, or mid-fi
Yeah.
also in short form. So what does the difference between these three, uh, according to
Okay.
you?
So lo-fi, like a low fidelity design, of course, low fidelity designs where you design a wireframe, like a structure of the application, right? Where the buttons will be placed, where the contents will be placed. The more like the structure without any colors, without any UI elements. So you are putting the placeholder in the UI screens, lo-fi. Now here comes like even lo-fi and high fidelity design. There is another called a paper wireframing design, right? If you have seen, like there's some courses available, like Google UX design courses which is available on Coursera. So if somebody who has completed that course, then they are familiar with this wireframe, like paper wireframe design. It's really important, right? So before paper wireframe framing, that process, it's not just comes in the design thinking process, but it can also be started during initial phase, that when the product managers or even the stakeholders are talking about the features or what sort of products they are designing. At that time, of course, they have a pen and pencil. They'll start designing something on the paper, right? It could be a rough design of the apps, that okay, this might be a feature, this would be a placeholder for the text or something like that. So for the first, it will start from the paper wireframing. Of course, some of the designers feel like paper wireframing take more time, or they will feel like, okay, instead of paper wireframing, they will start from this digital wireframing, what we call as a lo-fi digital, right? So after paper wireframing, they come of the lo-fi, which is on the digital part of it. You use a tool like Figma or whatever tools to create this wireframing part, the creating the placeholder and the structure of the apps. It comes, and then comes to low, or like a high fidelity design, right, where you start putting all these colors and typography icons and using different resources and create a complete UI design for this. So that's the whole difference from lo-fi and the hi-fi.
Got it. So lo-fi is more of like a ideation, rough sketch kind
Yeah,
of.
rough ideation, yeah, rough kind of ideation, but also it's some places like lo-fi. Okay, in the lo-fi, I've seen that some of the designers also put the final contents over there. Okay, so there's a like very huge discussion. Some if you have seen some of the great designer in the lo-fi, they also mention the CTA's name. Like this would be the CTA final score, because like uh, prototyping. So there are two types of prototyping. So wireframing prototyping, right? So what happens if you are creating a very big products, right? So there would be two testing. The first testing start from this low-fi testing. So for the low-fi testing, what you do is like have a wireframing and create a prototype. So in that prototype, you have to clearly mention the CTA in the wireframe, right? So that would be the sign up CTA, login CTA. So you have to be very cautious about what sort of CTAs you are adding up. So sometimes lo-fi can be a little bit detailed instead of just a placeholder. Might be you need to create have might be you need to add some real content over there, but of course it shouldn't be something like you are adding colors and all together everything in the lo-fi. Okay, so there is wireframe prototyping, and then hype like the final prototyping happened when you created final UI design, and then you are ready for the testing, usability testing. Then for that you need a like hi-fi screens or your UI final UI screens for it.
Got it. I think many of like students or aspiring product designers will be watching this video. So just want to
Hmm.
make sure like what is prototyping, what is wireframing, and what is design thinking. So I think during our conversation we have used these three terms a lot. So if you can explain each of these terms, wireframing and prototyping, and
Hmm.
what is design thinking process.
So wireframing is like, again, wireframing is a part of a process of design thinking. Okay. So in the wireframing, just I said earlier that you need to create a rough sketch of the UI screens, placeholder, and just a structure of it where you going to place the CTAs and icons, everything over there. So that's a wireframing, simple thing. It's just a process. And then you're asking is prototyping, right? Prototyping is something when these screens are interactive, right? So to create a interactive prototypes, again, there's a tools like Figma, even some other tools like Protopie, something where you can create this interactive prototypes. So what happens in a prototype? You click a specific button, will take to you to the next page. If you click a certain icon, it will show some tooltip, right? It's kind of an interaction happened, but it's not functional enough. Like it's not code. It's not like ship. Like you cannot ship or publish it directly on the Play Store and then people are going to start using. No, it's just a prototype which tells about the basic functionality how the apps will work. So prototype does it. Now prototype helps you to understand your product in a certain level, how the flows work, and it helps you to do some testing, initial testing, usability testing, and you get some insight from the user, like exactly whether your application working fine or if they are using struggling to find the proper button or something. So it's kind of a testing. So for prototype, design thinking again is a methodology. It's a kind of a process that every designers follow, right? From starting from like design thinking start from where you the problem statement, right? You will research the part. You will first do the research part. In the research part, you will do some diary study. You will go for the user interviews, right? You will ask some questions from the users, and user give you the insight, like what is their need, what is their motivation, right? What's their pain point, right? Of course, you will create a like persona of each users. Now based on your persona, user persona, you will create an empathy mapping, right? Empathy mapping, you get to understand what's the needs, what's the wants for the user. And there's a like the process, whole big process. So I will not going to explain everything in this specific video, because of course it will take the stretch of video a lot. But I will encourage viewers to like go to Google and search for design thinking process, because it's really help you to understand how the product cycle works and what the process looks like, because it's a very vast process. And again, after the research you will do ideate, right? When you come with the problem statement, specific problem statement, okay, the user wants that food, the restaurant food to be delivered at my home. That is the problem statement. Fine. Then we'll start ideating what sort of features you want to add, what sort of buttons you have to add in your UI screens, how the user flow looks like, right? We'll create a specific user flows and everything, right? Then it comes wireframing. After ideation and after doing IA, like information architecture, will create some flows like this will work, user flow. And then it comes to wireframing part where you start like sketching the UI screens. And then comes is lowfi, right? Lowfi with digital wireframing. And then comes to hi-fi. Hi-fi, you will start adding some colors and everything, right? Buttons, CTS, placeholder, like placeholder there, you will add icons and everything, right? But also you will have to dip down under this, like like in the hi-fi also you need a design system and everything to be created to start putting those elements in the UI screens, the final UI. And then after when the hi-fi is completed, you will have a you need to create a prototype for the testing, and you will take the prototype and go for the testing round. In the testing, the user will give feedback, and based on that, again, if your design is not 100% solution, like whatever you are designing, it's not going to be 100% right? There would be 99, like 99% might be the product will work, but there's 1% that people find it very difficult to understand the product very well. So you again have to iterate through it. So design thinking process is an iterative process. It's not just a straight or linear process. Even after completing your UI design, in the end, in the testing, you might be find that people are not able to understand that specific features, right? So again, you have to go back to your research part, and again you have to do research that why people are not able to understand the feature, what they are struggling out. Again, you have to iterate and then have to follow the same process. So again, this is a very long process. So I encourage viewers to please look or search this specific term design thinking, and it's really help you a lot to understand how design works.
Got it. I think so. Generally, design thinking is an iterative problem solving process, and I would also
Yeah,
attach a video of NN groups, like the Norman NN groups. They have made a very good video on this.
Norman Nielsen
Uh,
group. It's
yeah,
it's very important. Like I encourage everyone that this NNG group website is very useful. Uh, like I recommend everyone to at least they should read a single article every day, because it will help you to understand how product work, but also it updates you like what recently happening in the market and what are the things you need to keep in mind while designing in product. So yes, uh, let's attach that video on the this podcast. It really helped the
Sure, sure.
viewers.
I think, and Don Norman is nothing but the person who is known as father of UX design. He
Further,
coined the term
yes.
UX. He was an
Hmm.
architect at Apple, UX architect. Yep.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's one book that Don Norman. Sorry for interrupt, but there's one
yeah.
book I really encourage. The Design of Everyday Things by Don Norman. I've seen that a lot of designers mention this book, but very few designers like able to complete this book, because in this book he like express his experience, like he talked about what happened in his early life, what's the problems he has faced in terms of design and everything. I think you have also purchased a note, huh?
Yeah, even I have that book. So even for
Yeah,
product managers, it's very important.
yeah.
I've read couple of them where he talks about the physical thing, like how UX, like the Norman door example and all. A very
Yeah.
insightful book it is.
So it has a couple of examples, and really it's important, right? Because in this
Hmm.
book, he's not covered the digital aspect, but also the physical design, everything, right? From door to cockpit, even the aeroplane, right? Inside the aeroplane, how the cockpit looks like, how the switches are arranged. Gestalt principle used in every places, not just a digital design but also in a physical design. Even in your backend side there's a books are read, right? So you have put this book in a linear way, in the grouping way, so these books are on top of it might be different subject of books, below is different subjects of books. So this is again is the gestalt principle works over here. So again, this is all things is like covered in this book, so I encourage everybody to just read this book because it's really beneficial for you.
All right. Cool. I think the next question I have is, what are the top skills that are expected from a product designer according to you?
The top skills, first and foremost, is to know your product. Being a product designer, and whatever the product in which you are working on, first know your product well, not just how it works and everything, but also how it started, what is implemented, the roadmaps of it, phase one, phase two, phase three, whatever the roadmap is there, right? And then you also have to understand the technological part of it, right? If you are dealing with a digital product, again, I'm talking about digital product design in this whole podcast. I'm not talking about physical product design. So here, like, you have to understand your, like, the technology being used for your products, right? The front end part, back end part. At least you have to understand, like, this technology will help you to create a product, right? Of course there are certain constraint and everything. So again, the first skills is know your product very well, right, from A to Z. Second skill is curiosity of asking why, why. Okay. So whatever, if somebody is coming up, if your management is coming up, stakeholder, whatever is coming up with the problem statement, ask why, right? Why this is happening, what's the features, how we are going to deal with this problem, right? Keep asking them. When you get a absolute, when you get a like exact answer that you are looking for, right, then you start the process. So asking in every process, in the every design thinking process, is very important. As a product designer, you keep asking that, right? Because you are responsible for your product. If the product fails, of course you also fail certain level, right? So asking why is again second skill. Third is that UX part of it. Being a product designer, you need to understand how your research part works, right? At some point of time, you also work with the UX designer to perform the UX research. You have to interview the user, like, and also create empathy mapping, IS, information architecture, user flows, everything. So you have to be good at that skills also. UI part also, you have to be very good at it. But also in the UI part, aesthetic must be there. But there is one more thing, that is usability. Very important, because you are creating a digital product. Of course, the user will we're going to use that product, and usability is really important. If there is a human errors happening in the UI design, of course there is a lack of usability is happening, right? Accessibility is also important. This comes here in the along with the usability. Design principles, again there are certain principles that you have to follow. Like I said, gestalt principle is again one of the design principle. So whatever designing, whatever the UI or product you are designing, of course these principles have to be keep in mind while doing a product, right? So UI UX, this curiosity of asking why, and the first one is know your product. And last but not least is the leadership and soft skills. This skills is really important, right? You have to communicate very well with your managers, with your stakeholders, your product managers, and also with their developers, right? when you have a proper leadership quality, when you have a proper communication quality, of course it helps you, it motivates your team looking forward and create a very beautiful products, right? Leadership quality happens like at some point of time you have to conduct your workshop, you have to conduct a certain level of like competition in your organization, so that everyone's take a part in it and start doing something awesome stuff for it. So leaderships happen over there. So these are the five top skills, but again there are other skills are also required, like this other aspect, like understanding a business a little bit. But being a product designer, you also have to understand the business a little bit, how it works and what is the metric. Analytical skills is also required at a certain level, because after when you publish your product and everything, so people start using your like products, and you need to like figure out what sort of details the numbers is getting, is it going up and down, bounce rate, retention, and everything. These are terminology being used for so you have to aware with this analytical tools. You have to, like, sometimes you have to use some tools for analytics like Google Analytics Console or Clever Tab. These softwares are available. So again, numbers is also matter for a product designer certainly. So these are the skills.
Got it. And next question I have is, what are the common tools used by product designer? Let's say you told a couple of tools. You can say like these are the top tools and these are used for this purpose. So let's say Figma might be used only for designing,
Hmm.
wireframing as well as prototyping. FigJam is
Hmm.
used for ideation, something like that. So what are some
Yep,
of the
yep.
common tools?
So again, for designing, like Manoj, you have said that Figma for the UI, wireframing, FigJam for ideation or creating user flows. You can create over there, right? There are a lot of design tools. I'm not going to say that always use Figma every time, right? Tools every time tools change, right? If you are using right now Figma, maybe after 4 to 5 years there would be some another tools, right, which is much more better than Figma, right? Tools change. But as a product designers, some of the tools that I use, personally speaking, so for example, I have a Mac, right? So for this, like, note taking app, this note app is available on Mac. So for taking notes I use note app, right? Reminder app to set up some meetings if there is any meeting, so I use a reminder. Notion is again one of the best tool that I'm using to create document my problem statement or whatever research I'm having. So all I put this in the Notion file or create a document for it and share with my colleagues or with my teammates. Again, Notion is again one of the two. And then there's another one, Page Collective. Okay, I don't know how many of people are aware with this specific website, Page Collective. So Page Collective, from where you can get inspiration from real website or real application, right? It's not like a Dribble or Behance is something where people actually create some designs. The product, it's not 100% that those products are live or something. This is just a case study. But Page Collective shows the designs or something that is in live, people are using it, and you get inspiration from this. So it has a huge number of websites and apps in there, the US screens. So it's for inspiration. And then again, recently AI tools is coming up, so Chat GPT is for the content. So again, this is again one of the things the designer must use that. For wireframing, I need a content for it. So for this, I use ChatGPT. And for the reference or for the concept, I use Firefly, Adobe Firefly. Again, from there, you have to type out some prompt or something. You will get some result, right? Visual result. So I use it for just a reference kind of things. So it helps me a lot to understand how, like, what product should be look like. It helps me to visualize the things better, right? And then again, there's one more tool, Clever Tab, but it's very specific because Clever Tab is help me to analyze the product, how it's working, how many people are using it. So basically, for me to understand, like, how many people are using this product, the bounce rate of it, downloads, and female percentage, male percentage, geographic data, demographic. So this data has helped me to analyze my products overall, right? And then Jira. Again, Jira is again for the people who was working at a company. So to look at your task, roadmaps, and everything. That is all there in the Jira board. So these are the common tools that I'm using everyday life, but the tools might be changing in certain. So I'm not saying that stick with the tools and learn the tools from like advanced, become advanced, you like designer or use this tool then every day. It's depend. Might be I'm using different tools and up to 2 to 3 years. Yeah, these are the
Got
basic
it.
tools for.
So the next question is, if someone is just starting up, to learn or
Mm.
want to get into product design, what are the things he should learn in a step by step manner? If you can explain, right? It's kind of like a roadmap for someone to start learning product design.
Okay. So if you're asking me, so based on my experience, right? So I started my journey from 2019, and I started with the course like Adobe XD. Just I said earlier, Adobe XD is the tool. They directly start with the tools, with design tool, right? And after that, I get to know about that there is a process called design thinking process. So again, I will tell the user, I encourage the user. Okay, so start with very basics. Understand introduction of UX. So start with the introduction of the UX, because peoples are not, they are not understand, they are not able to clear about the things like why they want to start or why they want to become a product designer. They are unclear about this thing, right? They should ask themselves why they want to become a UX designer or UI designer or product designer, whatever, right? So start with the introduction of UX course, freely available, right? They can check out YouTube videos on this specific topic, introduction of UX design. From there they will get to know about some basic thing of the UX design. What is UX design? What's the benefit of user experience, right? What's the role, types of role, everything. When you clear about this, okay, I want to become a UX designer, I want to become a product designer, then step ahead, and now you should take this courses on complete UX design course, right? There are a lot of courses, complete UX design courses. From it covers design thinking process, everything from research part to UI part. And then after completing that course, now only thing you need to do is like go advanced. Now these courses won't teach you everything from A to Z. At certain level you have to experience, you have to get experience by working at a company, right? Internship or whatever, right? It gives you an idea like leadership skills, creativity, right? These things, these skills cannot be taught by these courses, right? So for example, like the books is really helpful. After taking courses and everything, you don't, like reading books is very necessary, right? Even the design of everyday things is the book. After reading this book, you get to know, understand how the design works in a better manner in a physical world also, right? There's a lot of books, design books is available. So you need to read books. And one most important thing, I encourage everybody, go outside from your comfort zone. You should not be like someone who is like opening the computer every day and thinking about you will get inspiration from the computer, right? That's a different thing. Being a designer, go outside, go to the marketplace, go to the crowded place, watch people what they are doing with their mobile phones, right? Look at the banner design, look at the flyovers, everything, right? Even the logo design of the stores, right? It gives you an idea, it brings your creativity, how doors open and close, right? How you can come up with this same simple interaction, physical interaction in your digital interaction, right? So again, these are the skill. Take some course, introduction of UX design. Second one is take a complete bootcamp course or complete course. Like there is another course like Google UX certification course available on Coursera. It covers everything from research to final UI design, even prototype and mockups, and how to create a case study. So it covers everything, right? You can enroll this course by paying, or even you can like complete this course like opting the audit options available. So but the thing is that you won't get any certification on it, right? So take this course. After completing the course, the thing is matters like create a proper case study. How to create a proper case study, that's a different topic. Again, we will cover it in different separate video if you're going to have in the future. Again, and after that, after case study, apply for internship. There are a lot of platforms available for internships, so go for it and apply for the internships. And then when you get the internships, when you get into this organization, slowly you get to understand how design process works, how you can create a UI design, testing part, usability testing, everything. And also read books, articles, watch videos. And NG Group is again one of the best website from where you can read articles about UX UI design. And lastly, go outside, go outside from your comfort zone. Okay, crowd place, marketplace, and observe people. That's really important.
Got it. I think just to summarize, first learn basics of UX, then
Yep.
complete advanced UX topic,
Hmm.
practice and learn about UI skills, go out, learn from the nature, physical interactions, etc.
Physical
Build case
intention.
studies, read books, start getting real life exposure, and keep on
That's
like learning from other sources like NN groups. Keep
yep.
yourself updated.
Yes.
Cool. And the next question I wanted to ask is how to
Hmm.
showcase your work as a product designer, right? So it's very important in today's scenario where the job market is very competitive. How one can showcase their work as a product designer?
See, this so the basic thing is that if you want to showcase your product design, like skills or whatever, there's one thing that's case study comes up, right? Being a UI designer, UX designer, or product designer, you need to create a proper case study, right? What the thing is more important is that if you are interested to become a UI designer, of course, in your case study, the UI part must be highlighted first, or might be it should cover all the UI aspect of it, right? So if you are a UI designer, your case study will cover like the iconography that you have used in the product design, the colors, more descriptive about the things, the decision you have taken for the colors, the typography and everything. You have to clear about so that the recruiter can understand, okay, you in this specific part you are good at it, and they can directly jump into that specific part. If they are looking for a UI designer, of course they are looking for a case study where UI design is best or must be good to go, right? If you're a UX designer, of course, the recruiter will more focus towards the research part of it, like whether this that specific candidate is actually giving more importance to the research part of it, how like how much the research or user interviews that specific candidate has covered in the case study. So the focus would be the research part of it if you are like looking for if the recruiter is looking for a UX designer, right? Product design is something where you have to be like you have to give 50% to the UX part also, but also 50% of your part. Like it covers from the research part to the design part. Everything has to be covered in the case study, right? Structure is different, right? I've seen a lot of case studies. So some of the people are making mistakes. They are putting directly mock-ups and UI screens of the case study without explaining the process, like what exactly the rational thinking they have during that specific process. They are just putting the UI screen, and it becomes very difficult to understand exactly what they have made, what the problem they are solving, what sort of user group they are focusing on. So it becomes very difficult, right? So being a product designer, your case study like self evident kind of case study. I don't need to call you or don't need to phone call you or message you, hey, tell me about your case study or explain me well, right? I want that case study. After looking at it the first glance, I get to understand, okay, this is the product and this is what this specific product is solving out, right? Starting from the basic introduction of the products and how many people are being involved in this specific project, right? Timeline, how much time the product takes, and also the date, right? And also the time, like covering the project state, like problem statement, research part, it showing persona in the case study, right? Affinity mapping, IA structure, user flows, UI design, and then explaining much deeper, like along with the UI design, you explain the features as well in a very detailed way. So it helps me to understand how the problem is started and how you are solving the problem, right? So this is the approach this one designer must take, create a case study. And if you want to again enhance the case study much better, what you can do, adding some graphics elements, some animation element in the case study, so it becomes a wow kind of things. Even the recruiter find it very pleasing to eyes when they are looking at the case study. I've seen a lot of case study where the designers are incorporated the animation and interaction in the case study itself, right? Even I've seen some of the people are adding some prototype links in the case study so that the recruiter can click on that specific link and check out the prototype of the UI screens, right? So this adding this small stuff actually enhance your case study and gives you more ahead towards the other like normal people and normal designers. They are always creating a simple case study, but adding some extra things in your case study like level up, and it will more highlighted to the recruiter, and eventually they will hire you for that specific role, right? So I will encourage the designers, aspiring designers, be creative with your case study. It's not that if someone is telling you in the case study these are the things must have in the case study, okay, these are common thing. Framework, there are a lot of framework template available, you can follow that one, but try to be creative in your case study. Add something special that none of the designers are doing, because if you are doing this sort of things creative with your case study, eventually the recruiter find it more like different and easy for them to hire somebody who's very good at some creative level being a designer, right? So that's my whole thing.
Got it. So I'll also attach some of the sample case studies of Suvam or some good case studies. You can give me the links. I'll attach them in description. But apart from that, like what are the platforms that one can use to make this case studies? Like where should they display this case studies? Is this on
Hmm.
their own website or platforms like Behance or Dribble, or where they should display this case studies out?
Yeah. So nowadays I've seen that like previously what happened, people are putting their case study on Behance, right? Behance. And the Behance, they created a proper case study, and even Behance gives you flexibility to attach files, like files, and also attach some of the links in the case study itself. So it gives a lot of customization option Behance. But recently I've seen like some of the designers are using Notion to create website and creating case studies for it, right? Notion is also one of the best platform to demonstrate your case study or to show case study to your recruiters. But also if you have a budget, right, if you have a certain skills and development, or maybe there are other website like Wix, right, Webflow. But again, Webflow required a certain level of coding understanding, right? The HTML or CSS skills little bit, right? So if you have a budget, if you have a money enough, then I will encourage you to create your own website where you can add your case study, and it really help you a lot, because again it's becomes a different from other rest of the things, like many of the designs they are creating on Behance and everything. But if you're creating your personal website, it gives you a personal branding, and again it's like it's more highlighted towards the recruiters, right? So there is option Behance is, again, if you have don't have budget. But again, Behance gives you more flexibility and customization option than Notion. I think Notion is free. I believe like you can create a file, a website through Notions and have a case study over there. Uh, Third option is having like personal website. Wix is also provide you the free, like you can create a free website, but there is some limitation, some like you get a less feature kind of things. uh, and Webflow is again one of the things tool that you can create, right? But again, if you have that certain amount of money, or you can invest on this specific thing, because Dribble is again one of the tools right now. Dribble is enhance their platform. Now you can also create a case study on the Behance. Previously it was that only you can add a mock-ups or a screen of it, but now Dribble is giving more flexibility. You can add a text kind of style, heading, subheading, more mock-ups you can add over there. So Dribble is little by little, it's like becoming a Behance kind of a tool where you can create a case study. But again, it depends on budget. It depends upon like how much time you have, because everything is like if you have a proper time, if you have a couple of months, you have time, then go ahead with the person website. Otherwise, these tools are available. Free tools are available right now in the market.
Got it. And the next very important question is, now I have my portfolio ready. I have my
Hmm.
resume ready. I start applying for companies. So how does
Hmm.
what are the common interview rounds according to you that 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 are there in a product designer role?
Hmm. So common interview rounds, like common what happened, right? First resume shortlisting. That's a very common, right? Whatever, irrespective of any job, they will ask you the resume, everything, right? On certain level, they will also ask you to add a portfolio link in your resume, because they want to look your portfolio also. Resume is also important to know your work experience and everything, but also they want to look your portfolio, everything, right? After resume shortlisting, these two things are happening, right? The first one is assignment. Some of the companies give you a design assignment to complete, right? Okay, so you need to complete the assignment within some stipulated time, or they will give you some deadline on which you have to complete that design task on whatever. And second option, like second, this happen when the organization or the company is not giving you an assignment. What they will do, they will ask for the this whiteboard rounding. Whiteboard rounding, where they will like physically or maybe virtually, they will ask you to, they will give you a problem statement directly in the meeting, like virtually, and you have to design the app, or you have to show your problem statement, how you can solve the problem, and the recruiters will see your like thinking, like how you approach the solution, everything. That's a whiteboard rounding. Large companies are actually follow this process of whiteboard rounding. And assignment is also one of the things that many of the startup companies, even some of the big companies, are also following that assignment round. And after doing both the things, then it comes for interview. Now this happened like, how many interviews would happen, it depends. Like some of the early startup companies, they will just have a single interview where the CEO or the manager will ask you a certain level of questions about design, or maybe about the products and everything. They will ask you about yourself and everything. So you have to be very confident in the meeting. Again, for the meeting, how to take meeting, how you have to prepare for the meetings is a different topic. We'll take, we have to create a separate video for this again. Okay. So like interviews happen. Now early stage companies, like they will have a single interview and let's go. But some of the big companies like fan companies, right, Google or Netflix or whatever, they will gonna have like more than one interviews, might be three interviews, right, might be four interviews, in which what happen, different like roles of peoples will interview. For example, the first meeting might be the leader, design leader will have an interview with you. Second meeting might be the product manager will have a meeting with you. Third might be the stakeholder, someone is going to have a meeting with you. This happened in a different medium also, like maybe first round would be telephonic interview. They will call you and ask you the couple of questions on the telephone, right? This would be your communication skills, your voice, how you speak, if, when there is no video, and like what's the way you speak on telephone, right? Then it comes to virtual, when you are going to have a like proper Zoom call or Google Meet call, right? When you are having facing to the recruiters and they will ask you questions. Third is like when they will ask you physically come to the office and have a meeting over there. Even some of them will ask you to present your assignment or case study, whatever you made in the second round. They will call you in the office, show that case study in front of the people, and explain what the design process you have followed. Right. This again is a third kind of interview that happened in office. Right. So these big companies follow this one. And after the interview, whatever, like if the interview goes well, of course you will get a call from them that you have been hired. Otherwise, of course, they will tell you that you're not being hired and keep working on your skills. So that's a very general kind of things that happen. First is resume, second is assignment, third is interview, one or more than one, and fourth is like getting final call from the HR.
Got it. I think the next question I had is what are the resources? I think we had already talked about some of the resources. So first was the design of everyday things by Don Norman and NNG Group website, and
Hmm.
you also
Hmm.
highlighted about the Google UX design certification course on
Yep. Yep.
Coursera, right? And apart from that, is there any other things you would recommend, like any YouTube channel or any other blog or any other free
Uh,
resources or something that you had used?
okay, if you're asking me resources,
Hmm.
see, free resources, there are a lot of free resources available on internet, right? But the thing is that this free resources won't give you too much like details or too much knowledge that you are expecting, or something you are expecting from this free resources. You will not get this. The basic thing you will learn from there, right? Of course, at some point of time, you have to pay something to this specific. You have to get some this resources by paying something price or amount to get some other deals, like some important stuff from there, right? If you're asking me some resources, then again when I was learning design, so I did some of the courses like the Google UX certification courses, which is of course I use the audit features available on Coursera, so I get it for free. And then there's another course that UI specialization by University of Minnesota. You can also take this course from Coursera. Again, you can use the audit options to get this free. And then there's another website called Future Learn. In the Future Learn, they are offering a website called Digital Experience, a digital skills user experience, which is of course free for the people who are really want to get started with the UX design. So it covers a introductory part of UX design, but also it's covered a certain level of the process of design thinking, their courses. Okay. So you can take that up also. IBM is also providing a kind of design thinking course, which of course is very free for everybody, so they can also check out that course. But in that specific course, the IBM is more focused towards their organization design thinking models. Okay, there's a generic one that we all know about design thinking process, but some organizations, they have their own design thinking process, their own design thinking model. Okay, so again, from there you can learn about this. And beside from that, yeah, YouTube channel is there, and then other resources is also there. Like there is a design growth website is available, from where you can
Hmm.
learn about the case studies of different product. It's very useful website. I encourage everybody to do so, and Manoj, please attach that link in your description. Okay,
Sure.
so yes, this is a couple of website. I will this is the best for designers to get started with that, first of all. And
Got
energy
it.
group is of the best one.
And the last question is, do you have any advice for product design aspirants or who are just trying to get started to learn product design?
So if somebody who's really want to get started with the products, then of course the skills that I've already talked about, you need to work on those skills. Again, this is very important. Be confident about this. Okay, learn the skills very well. Being a product designer, it's not something you are going to just design or something. You have to be very creative at some places, diplomatic in some places. Leadership skills is also required. Okay, and whatever the skills, whatever the tools I have mentioned in the video, uh, these tools really help you to understand how the product management, how product design works, and how being a product designer you need to use these specific tools in day-to-day life, right? So yes, whatever I mentioned in the videos, like it really helps you to understand what product design looks like and what's their process to build a specific product. Other than this, I think there are like I feel there is no specific courses for product designers, right? UX UI design courses are available. Of course, this UX UI design courses, it's again one of these skills. Being a product designer, you need to follow that up.
Got it. Thanks a lot, man. I think it was a very useful session, and thanks a lot for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much, Manoj. Thank you.